Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. This is Mr. Shakespeare here again with you on the 9th of November 2022. I'm here with psychic medium, remote viewer, and current football expert, Liz Cross. How are you doing today, Liz?
Football expert. I know nothing about football other than I do watch the England team play. I do like the World Cup. I will watch England play. But like, what are those things where offside? Because my husband will shout, "It's offside, it's offside." I'm like, okay, what does that mean? I don't even know.
Right.
What
Okay.
does offside mean?
You really want me to go into that? No, you don't. Come on.
Okay. Nobody will tell me. That's the other
No,
problem.
I mean, okay. When the ball is passed, if the opposing player is ahead of any other player on the home, on that side, so that's offside. Yeah.
Okay, that makes no sense to me. Don't you want the ball to be ahead?
No. If you kick the ball, right, and you're kicking it to your teammate, and he is in advance of all the opposing players when the ball is kicked, that is offside.
But isn't that what you want to do?
Yes, I know, but no, because no. The reason the offside rule is there is because if it wasn't there, do you know what you would do? You'd have
Well,
one person standing right next to the goalkeeper of the opposite team. You just have him stand there all the time.
yeah, that's what you want.
No, you don't want that. It would make a ridiculous game. You can't have it. Like, you just can't do it. You cannot have somebody hanging around next to the opposing goalkeeper, just sitting there waiting for the ball to come to him. You just can't do it. No.
So complicated.
Oh.
Sterling, is he on the England team this time round? Sterling?
I don't know if they've picked the team yet. Raheem Sterling should be picked, in my opinion, because he's good.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they've picked him. I don't know if they've announced the teams yet. I think they're doing that. Isn't it next week? Or I don't know. But I don't.
I have no idea. But apparently I'm the expert. Well, I do like Sterling because he grew up across the road, over the road from where my husband grew up.
Right.
So that's all I know. That's my extent of my
But
football knowledge.
you're not claiming your husband has anywhere near the football ability of Raheem Sterling, are you?
No,
Okay.
not a snowball's chance. No.
Right.
Okay, but
Right.
this is interesting because the World Cup starts soon, and we want to probe this guy.
Yeah, so the World Cup starts on Sunday, the 20th of November. So a week this Sunday. So yeah, a couple of weekends time. Qatar is the host nation, and as is customary, the host nation always plays the first match, and they're actually playing Ecuador. So okay, but this guy Abdulaziz Al Thani is the prime minister, the current prime minister of Qatar. He appears to have been there for a couple of years, or maybe something now. So yeah, educated in Doha and also in the US.
Oh, okay. Well, this is interesting because they have received a lot of criticism about having the World Cup in Qatar over their continuous, what we deem in the Western world as human rights abuse. So apparently they weren't treating their workers very well. They don't treat women very well. They don't treat homosexuals, LGBT, communities very well. And I think that in some places they actually arrest suspected LGBT and send them to conversion camps to basically mentally torture them until they accept the fact that they are not who they are. It's a mess. And I've been, that was covered under the British news. We don't get that level of reporting over here, but certainly on the British news side of things, you do. And I think, it's a big mess. I mean, English fans going to football in Qatar and not being able to drink. Oh, God. That's just crazy to me.
Well, yes, I believe there are all sorts of rules for the first time that have been imposed, which have never happened at any World Cup before. But I think this is the first time, if I'm right, that an Arab nation has hosted the World Cup. So, and it's also unusual because normally the World Cup is at the end of the domestic seasons for everybody, which then the domestic seasons finish in May normally, and the World Cups normally kick off in June, roughly. But obviously we can't do that because it is so hot there. It would not be possible to play in the summer. And so for some reason, FIFA, who's the world governing body, have given them dispensation to basically play it in the what would be the middle of everybody's domestic season. So the English domestic season finishes, I think, this weekend, and has about a break till after Christmas 26th or something, so that we can accommodate the World Cup. So there's lots of firsts here. First Arab nation, first time not in the summer, the Western Hemisphere summer. First time there's so many rules about what you can and can't do with, alcohol, dress, codes, all sorts of things. So all very interesting.
So shall we ask him how he anticipates this is going to go?
Oh, I think that would be a great question to ask him.
All right. So I've got a connection.
One thing I will say, I have seen some of the promo videos. They have built some stunning stadiums, and bear in mind, they've built them from nothing. So, and of course, they've got the oil money to do that, but they have built some cracking stadiums, give them that. Just saying.
Wow. I haven't seen the stadiums, but no doubt we will soon, because this will dominate my house very soon. I'm in a house with all men. You know that, right? Even my dog is male.
Yeah.
I'm totally outnumbered. Okay. So, what would you like to know?
Well, how does he think the World Cup will go down in his country?
How do you think the World Cup will go down in the country? Ooh, okay. He's shaking his head in the no direction. He's like, there are a lot of problems. They're trying to control the media coverage. They're trying, yeah. They're trying to cut, and they don't like this exposure into how they run their country being broadcast out. They thought it was just going to be the World Cup. They didn't know that they were going to come under such heavy scrutiny from the world organizations, particularly like women's groups, LGBT. So that's a surprising answer, because when I connected with him, he comes across as very arrogant. But then when we asked that question, that answer surprised me. He's worried about it.
Did they not consider that when they put in the bid? Did they not think that might be an issue?
No, they didn't.
Oh dear. Right. Okay. How draconian are they going to enforce the rules that they've given out to all the countries as regards the traveling fans, spectators? So how
So like if they catch someone drinking, or
because there's so many rules that you can't do that in the West that people take for granted. So I'm just wondering, rules are only ever as good as how they're enforced. You can have 1,000 rules, but if they're not enforced, then they don't mean anything. So how hard and fast are they going to enforce these rules?
That's a good question. How are you going to enforce these rules? We can't. Another surprising answer from him. We can't really enforce these rules. We've been told that we have to have a relaxed attitude. And they're worried that this is sending a wrong message out to the citizens of Qatar, right? They don't want to have all these problems like they're having in Iran at the moment, with all the female protesters in Iran that just don't want to wear head coverings anymore. They're worried that this is going to have a knock-on effect. Do you expect women to cover their head in public? Yes, we do. What if you find a female there that isn't covering their head? There's not a lot they can do about it other than ask her to cover her head. What if she refuses to cover her head? I think they're going to let it slide. I really do. That's very surprising.
Well, I think some people naturally will comply. I think some people naturally comply with anything they're told to do. We've only got to look at recent events to know that. But a lot of people won't. And then, again, what would they do about it? So I don't know. I mean, it's just, I was just reading on the British foreign website here on the government. It says Qatari laws and customs are very different to those in the UK. Be aware of your actions to ensure that they don't offend, So there might be serious penalties for doing something that might not be illegal in the UK, such as importation of certain goods. This includes pork products, alcohol, e-cigarettes. So you see, e-cigarettes, you can't have that either, apparently. So
I didn't know that.
No.
Because if you go down the Edgware Road in London, they're all hitting the what are those things called? Where the big things with the oh God, what is it called? Not bongs. The hookah. That's all you see on the Edgware Road in London. Certainly when I lived there, it's probably changed now, but it was all the men smoking the hookah. So I don't know. Do they not do that there? Maybe not. What
well, alcohol, it's saying, is only available to visitors at licensed hotel restaurants and bars, but you won't be able to buy it anywhere else. You can't buy it in the duty free when you arrive. And the importation of alcohol into the state of Qatar is illegal. You will not be able to purchase alcohol from duty free in airports. Ask him about that. Ask him that most fans coming from Western nations are not used to things like this. So do they think it's draconian, or do they? I mean, I know it's their customs and rules. So, but they are putting on a global event. Do they not take into account that not everybody follows their rules?
Yeah, they're aware of that. He says that's what makes us so special and so productive. We don't allow things to taint our minds and our bodies.
Right.
So that's a reasonable answer. What are you going to do if people are drinking on the street? No, it's forbidden. You cannot drink on the street.
I know, but if 50,000 people are all doing it, what are they going to do?
If 50,000 people are drinking on the street, what are you going to do? No, I don't know what they can do. He's saying we're just going to have to ask them to stop and behave themselves, but they're not going to really enforce it.
Right.
So it doesn't look like they're going to do much. What if people are trying to bring alcohol in from the airport? No, they will be stopped. There will be no alcohol allowed in. What about if they're bringing it as a gift? Absolutely forbidden. You cannot bring alcohol into the airport. You can only buy it in the hotels, like you say, and the restaurants. And you are only allowed to consume it in those premises. You are not allowed to take alcohol out onto the street. You are not allowed to drink too much. What if somebody's drunk? Well, they have set up a facility to handle drunkards, right? But they're going to treat them, just let them sober up, give them a warning, and then they leave. Are you going to throw them out of the country? No. So they are going to try to compromise here, it looks like. Which is interesting because England fans can't go anywhere without a drink. I mean, you only have to, and for those non-UK or football fans out there, just go YouTube English hooligans, and you can see what they're like. I mean, I remember one of the very last incidents when I was working in London for, those of you who know, I used to dispatch for Scotland Yard, right? One of the last few shifts I worked, West Ham was playing Fulham, and it was a bloodbath. We had police on horses. They all had fireworks. The fans, they were shooting rockets at the police. The residents in Fulham, which is a very nice area of London, not as nice as Chelsea and Kensington, but still pretty decent, were having to let the officers in their homes and shelter them because they were just being pelted, absolutely hammered by the fans. And I think it was because Millwall lost. Or no, it's not Millwall. West Ham lost, and that was it. I mean, it was just it was a mess. And so that's how, traditionally, unfortunately.
Well, it's not as, Liz, it's not as bad as that now in the I mean, a lot of those excesses, even in the English game, have gone. So we don't get so much of that anymore. Let's go back to the question, shall we? So Qatar was awarded the tournament in 2010. There's also allegations that there's about 6,500 people, migrant workers from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, have died in Qatar since that, when building, to do with building these stadiums. So this is sort of violation of human rights they're alleging. What does he think about all that?
They've made adjustments. This is new for them as well, having to build on this scale.
Absolutely, I bet it is.
Yeah, but they're used to working around the heat. They're used to dealing with it. I feel like a lot of building work goes on in the evening, which is what they should have done. They've had migrant workers in that cannot handle the heat, right, and they weren't being well taken care of. Qatar, so they contracted these jobs out. Okay. Right. This isn't the government that actually built them. He's saying that they contracted out, who contracted out. Everybody wants to make money. And they did. And some of them were very bad towards workers. They believe they put a stop to that now. He says right. He's very sorry that happened.
Right. So it was what made them want to host the World Cup? Because they're not known as a very large footballing nation, are they? I mean, this is not Brazil or somewhere like that, which is well known for football. I mean, I'm just curious to why they wanted to host it.
This is a good answer. So I'm going to ask him the question again. What made you want to? Because they wanted to be a tourist destination like Dubai, okay, where the wealthy people come and they spend a lot of money. It boosts a lot of business. That's what they wanted to do. They wanted to boost their tourism like Dubai. They want to be like that. Dubai makes a lot of money off tourism. It's good for business. And so they believe by putting themselves out there on the world stage, lots of people would come. They'd want to come back again. And we would have all these amenities for them to come and have a good time. And that was their goal.
Okay.
That's a good answer, isn't it?
It is a good answer. I wasn't expecting that.
No.
Okay. Well, I mean, obviously, a lot of people, but Dubai is a lot, it isn't so stringent on some of the rules. So at the end of the day, I mean, it's not free and easy. It's not like going to Ibiza or something, but it's not quite as strict as Qatar by the sounds of it. So at the end of the day, they might want to get a lot of people over there, but You know, if you're restricted and prohibited to doing all the things that a lot of people like to do on vacation, on holiday, then they won't be going back, will they? Also, it's a hell of a lot of money to spend out up front. I mean, what are they going to use with stadiums for afterwards?
They want to keep having world events coming to Qatar. So I feel like they've made a bid for the Olympics as well.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay.
Yeah. They really want to make money off tourism. So it takes less responsibility, or, you know, it takes the responsibility off of the government, and people are more sufficient. Now, I don't know how they make their money in Qatar. I don't know what the industry is. I think a lot of it's oil. But I feel like that's, you know, that's only for a small portion, and the government has to take care of a lot of people, and they're wanting to move away from that. So, you know, but I'm saying, but with that, you have to understand is that people will have, they'll want more freedom, conscious freedom, and saying, no, we cannot allow that. So they're going to have to learn, you know, through trial and error of what people will expect if they come there as a tourist destination.
Yeah, they will.
I don't know how the England team are going to handle the heat. I really don't.
No. No, but I suppose that's one reason why I think they're thinking it's going to be like 30 degrees, which is, I mean, it's like 50 in summer, so I think it's about 30. Is it true that all the stadiums are air conditioned? Ask him that.
Is it true that all the stadiums are air conditioned? Yes, they're enclosed and air conditioned. So that's good.
So the surface temperature of the ground, I mean, that should be comparable to the West, no? Shouldn't it?
Should be. In a summertime for the West, yes.
Yeah, for the sun. Yeah. Well, that's okay. All right. Well, that's not the end of the world, is it? Okay.
Interesting.
How many people are they expecting to come, you know, to Qatar? What's the sort of how many do they expect they will get?
Millions.
Wow. Can they cope with millions?
Yes, they're fully prepared. I feel like vouchers and handouts and regeneration projects have been handed to hotels. I feel like they've been given a lot of money. Restaurants, they've really pushed the boat out for the World Cup to make it all modern and sleek and nice, to clean up the streets. Not that it was messy in the first place, but you know what I mean? They've really tried hard. You can see that very clearly.
Well, as I say, I have seen some of the videos that get, I mean, it does look very impressive, I must admit.
I haven't seen any, but what I'm getting,
you should see them. Really, they are, yeah, they are. They're very impressive. Yeah. So, okay. Okay. How does he think Qatar will do? As you know, as the host nation and the home team, how does he think they'll do?
Not so great, but they knew that. They are not known for that, so no. They don't have high hopes. They're just excited to be hosting it, to be honest.
Absolutely. Yeah, I understand. Okay.
Do you think the England team will win? Not a chance.
Well, I don't think they'll win either, so that's okay. I'm on the same page with him with that. Okay. Right, let's put him out to the 28th of December.
No, I am not making World Cup predictions.
No, hold on. No, I'm not going to ask you that. Calm.
All right.
I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to ask you that.
2022, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay.
Ask him, overall, was the tournament a success as far as he and the government are concerned?
Overall, was the tournament a success as far as you and the government are concerned? Yes, it went very well. No major hiccups.
Do they still plan on hosting other events in these big stadiums then?
Yes, they hope to do that in the future.
Okay. Were there any lessons that they had to learn? And if so, what were they?
Oh, yes, a lot. How to relax more. That they have to be more culturally acceptable to other, to other cultures.
Yeah.
He's talking about education. It's going to broaden their education. I feel like a lot of their education is very restricted to religious education.
Right.
But he hopes to broaden that.
Well, good, because he himself went to the US where he apparently completed his bachelor degree in business administration. So, he's been educated outside of the system, hasn't he?
Mm.
So, okay.
It seems like it goes very well.
Right. Was the temperature a problem at any time? Was the heat, was it a problem or not?
Yes, it was a problem. And they had to provide like heat relief for the tourists that were, they're walking around, they're sightseeing and doing things like that. It is a problem. And they made sure they had hydration stations around for people to sit down, have a rest. They have medics out there. I feel like they've had to import a lot of medics in. They've got, water dispensaries and things like that. Places to freshen up. They've got advisories. Don't go out, too much during the day. Protect yourself. Do some exploring in the evening.
Right. Okay. Sort of standard rules for all hot countries anyway. So,
yeah.
Okay. Did all the facilities function? None of the air conditioning stadiums broke down. Everything went okay, did it?
Yes, it did. It's top notch. Good. They spent a lot of money to make sure this is right.
Yeah, good. Okay, good stuff. Thank you very much. Okay.
Well, that's great. Thank you. I think this is fantastic. Good questions.